A new legislation is in the offing in Congress that would require automobile buyers to show proof of having a garage to park their vehicle before being allowed to register. With us this week on Motoring Today is Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, who shall explain further this no garage, no car policy being mulled by legislators. Good afternoon, Mr. Senator, and welcome to Motoring Today.
Good afternoon, Butch, and good afternoon to all our televiewers. Magandang hapon po.
Senate Bill 201, otherwise known as Proof of Parking Space Act, was already filed in the Senate. Could you provide us the salient points of this proposed legislation and its rationale?
Okay, I will just break it down to very simple and understandable explanation. Basically, if you buy a car, you have to show proof that you have parking, whether you own the parking slot or you're leasing the parking. But the most important here is you have to show proof that you have parking space. If you don't show proof, you cannot register your car. And if you cannot register your car, you will have a hard time proving that you own the car. So it's important that from the onset, from the beginning, you have to show proof that you have parking space.
Now, not unless I'm wrong, I understand that those that will be directly affected by this bill would be buyers of new vehicles. Would that mean present owners of vehicles would not be within the scope of the restrictions of this proposed law, nor those who would be buying pre-owned vehicles?
The law is prospective, meaning only new buyers of the car will be affected. The ones who have cars already will be given ample time to show proof that they have parking.
Now, as one of the bill's proponents, how would you handle objections that people should not be restricted from owning a car?
We're not restricting buyers from owning the car. We're just putting discipline in owning the car. Meaning, if you buy a car or if you have plans to buy a car, you have to also need to think about where to park your car when you go home or, for example, at work. That's why it's also in the building code that whenever you build buildings or build houses, you have to provide ample parking space for your own need. So we're putting discipline in purchasing cars. So right now, what is happening right now, you buy cars and bahala na where to park it, which is also not ethical to your neighbors or not ethical to the community you live in.
Tell us, how would you reconcile the conflicting interests between the auto industry's thrust to continue its phenomenal growth, which arguably tremendously helped the country's economy, and the objectives of this bill, considering that this bill, when enacted to a law, could actually be an obstacle to the car industry's goals of selling more vehicles?
Again, we are not obstructing, or the bill's intention is not to obstruct the sales of vehicles in our country. What the intention of the bill is to put discipline in terms of buying and providing parking space. What we want is our organized streets. What we want is organized communities. What we want is streets that are clear of obstruction and clear of vehicles. And I think everyone will be benefiting from clear streets and streets that are easy to pass through. That's the intention of the bill.
Some are of the belief, Mr. Senator, that this no garage, no car bill is, in a way, pro-rich. How do you handle this opposition?
Actually, I don't think it's pro-rich because, again, majority, for example, if you have a street crowded with cars and you have an emergency, for example, fire, and the fire truck needs to come in and put out the fire, it doesn't, fire accidents doesn't look at whether you're rich or you're poor. You can die and people can perish in a fire accident. So actually, by clearing the streets, you are also helping the lives of anyone. And I don't think the intention of the bill really is to categorize whether you're rich or poor. Let's not also look at just vehicle sales. Let's look at accidents. Let's look at fire accidents. Let's look at disaster response. At night, when there is earthquake, you need your rescuers to pass through our streets without any obstruction, and that's also another element of this bill.
Thank you for your time, Senator Sherwin. Before we end, any message to our viewers relevant to this bill?
Well, I hope our viewers will see the merit and the intention of the bill. Of course, the primary top of mind of this bill is to help ease the traffic problem of our country. But then again, there are other benefits of this bill. Like I said, disaster response, disaster preparedness. Just imagine if somebody in your family will need an ambulance and the ambulance cannot pass through your streets because of illegally parked cars. So there are multitude of benefits by having organized streets and clear streets.
Thank you once again, Mr. Senator.
Thank you again, Butch, and happy motoring.
One of the freshly elected distinguished members of the Philippine Senate, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, with insights into the proposed No Garage, No Car bill. Our guest this week on Motoring Today's Motoring Forum.